This is Therapist Clubhouse, a podcast for private practice entrepreneurs. I'm Annie Schusler. Hey there. This is the last in my 6-week Rant series, where I geek out on some business topics that matter. This week, I'm on a rant about goal setting. So, some big things I want to talk about. 1, I want you to set goals rather than making projections. I'll explain that. 2, I want you to create a flexible plan that brings you to your goals. And 3, I want you to focus on one goal. All right, the first thing is I want you to set goals rather than making projections. Until not too long ago, I used to make projections when I thought I was setting goals. I always thought I was setting goals. So a couple of years ago, my friend Karen was talking to me about my business, as she does, and she asked me what my financial goal was for a particular offer that was coming out. And I said, oh, hold on a second. And I went to get my phone so that I could use the calculator on there so I could figure it out. And she said, no, I'm asking you what your goal is. You don't need a calculator for that. And at the moment, I thought this was annoying and I really wanted to get out my phone. And it took me a little while to get her point. So I was getting ready to make a projection for what I thought this offer would bring in based on what had already happened in my business. And that's a fine thing to do. That is making a projection, but it's not setting a goal. Business strategist Tara Gentile, who's awesome, says it's really important to set a goal that feels out of reach. So set a goal that you don't know how you're going to achieve. You've done this before, most likely. When you decided to become a healer or a therapist, you didn't actually know how to do that. You just trusted that you were going to figure it out. You set the goal of becoming a therapist or a healer, and then you figured it out. You did not know how to do all the steps. That's how you need to be in your business. Set a goal that you don't know how you're going to achieve, and then you're going to learn what you need to do in order to get there. So otherwise, if you don't do that, you're stuck with incremental growth. You can grow just a little bit, but you're not going to push yourself to learn the new things and embrace the new possibilities that you could. So maybe you want to set a goal to double your income in the next year. Probably that's a goal and not a projection. Projecting forward from here based on what has already happened in your business or just doing a little bit more of what you've already been doing, maybe you would project that you could raise your income by 10%. And maybe you wouldn't have to learn anything new to do that. And if that's okay with you, awesome. But to double your income, maybe you need to figure out a totally new plan. Maybe you've got to think creatively about what you're offering in your business and offer something new. Maybe you've got to put yourself out there in new ways. A side note on this, I do encourage you to stay within your superpowers, those things that you're really great at. But that does not mean in any way that I don't think you should challenge yourself. Okay, back on track. The next thing I want to tell you is to create a flexible plan that connects with your goal, that gets you from where you are now to your goal. Once you've got an actual goal, you need to create a flexible plan that makes sense to get you there. So ask yourself right away, what do I have to learn? Who do I need to ask for help? What do I need to do regularly, like every week? What do I need to do? And what do I have to do just one time in order to get from here to there? And I think you get this part right away, that if you don't create that plan, then your goal is really likely to just be a dream and not actually a goal. So each of the actions that you're going to take, everything you're going to put in your plan is based on a hypothesis. So for example, here's one hypothesis. If I connect meaningfully and strategically with 10 colleagues every single month, I'm going to bring in 5 more clients who I really want to work with in the next 3 months. I don't know if that's true, but that could be a hypothesis that's based on things other smart people have said, based on what makes sense to me, maybe based on some of my own experience. But you're not going to just have that as part of your plan. This is why it has to be flexible, because you've got to have many different routes that lead to that goal. If one of your hypotheses ends up not being true, that's okay, because you're going to have other parts in your plan. You're going to come up with other actions to lead you to that goal. You'll probably come up with other marketing actions and maybe actions in other areas too. Marketing is probably a big part of your plan. It usually is for my clients in order to meet your goal. But it also might include things like resetting your fees, maybe shifting your niche, maybe adding a new service to your business could be a big part of your plan. You got to map out your plan. Choose the actions that you believe are the most likely to get you there and avoid the ones that are really comfortable but just kind of make you feel busy and that you know aren't really pushing you forward. Maybe for some of you, I don't know, maybe that could be hanging out on social media. That makes you feel busy, and if you're overdoing it, it could be just making you actually be busy and not get it done. A lot of times you can look at your list of actions and you can spot 2 or 3 that you know are most likely to actually get you to that goal. So push yourself to actually focus on those things. Identify the obstacles that are going to come up to taking those actions. A lot of times an obstacle is that you run into something that you don't know how to do. We talked about this a little bit before. So do not just let that action sit there. Decide right away what you're going to do next to figure it out. A lot of times that means asking for help. So don't stop asking for help until you have asked the person who can actually help you with it. My personal definition of success is taking action towards my goals and asking for help when I need it. So that means I'm showing up for myself because I said I would, and I'm asking for help when I need it. A lot of times that means that I meet my goals. All right. The third thing that I want to tell you to do is to focus on one goal at a time. Decide what goal is the very most important right now and only take actions that will bring you closer to that goal. When we choose more than one goal at a time, it's really hard to stay organized and it's really hard to stay focused. And it's so easy to become scattered. Now, side note, I'm not saying stop seeing your clients while you're trying to meet your goal or stop returning emails. But I am saying put your plan at the very center and make that the biggest thing that you're trying to get done. I'm also not saying you shouldn't have other goals outside your business. I'm saying that in terms of growing and improving your business, have one most important goal at a time. This is really hard. I know you want to do a lot. Maybe you want to write a book and you want to build your practice. I still recommend that you choose right now. Which one do you want to do first? To help you decide, think about a few months from now, which one of those things would you be most happy to have made huge progress on? Do your future self a favor and focus on that. And now sometimes we get lucky and the two things that we want to accomplish actually both move us in the same direction. Sometimes one of your plans, like if you've got 2 goals, maybe sometimes one of your goals is actually going to help you accomplish the other. So you can pick one goal and kind of do both things. So for example, that might sound kind of confusing. Maybe you want to create a podcast. That's one of your goals, but you're having a hard time choosing that one because you also want to fill your practice. So first, focus in on which your big goal is. Think about your future self. Are you going to be happier in a few months if you've made progress on filling your practice or if you've made huge progress on creating a podcast? Now, if you land on filling your practice, perhaps creating a podcast can actually be an action to bring you toward that goal. If that's the case, you get to create your podcast and you got to make sure that the way you create it, the way you position it, the way you put it out there is going to help you fill your practice. Force yourself to choose that one big goal and notice how much more powerful it makes your actions. Notice how much faster you can get there. Thank you for listening to my rant and to this whole series of rants over the last 6 weeks. As I mentioned when I started, this is an experiment in the Clubhouse, and I'll be back with an interview next week. So I'm recording this quite a while ago, and I'm going to tell you something I know and something I don't know from here. What I know is that enrollment closes for my 3-day program, Superpower Intensive, on Thursday, August 9th. The program's from Friday, August 24th through Sunday, August 26th in person in Berkeley. And we're going to be spending time on the third day actually on goal setting and planning, and it's going to be awesome. What I don't know is whether the program is already full because I'm speaking to you from the past. And right now in the past, the program is just a little over half full. So there's some spots. There's a spot for you. To learn more, like whether there's still a spot for you now that you're listening, and to apply if there is a spot, go to coachingwithannie.com/intensive. And if there's a spot for you, apply. Yeah. I will see you next week.